My name's Vivian. I'm 39, and I've spent the better part of my life figuring out how to fit into spaces that don't quite feel like mine. Right now, I'm standing in a hotel room on the 27th floor of a towering high-rise in some unnamed sprawling city that hums with a kind of energy I can't quite grasp. The air outside is thick with the noise of traffic and ambition, and I'm here with Caleb, my husband of 14 years. He's in his early 40s, a man who wears determination like a second skin, always chasing the next big thing. Our marriage? It's comfortable, like a well-worn sweater. Warm, familiar, but sometimes I catch myself wondering if there's a thread I've missed, something unraveling just out of sight. We don't talk about it, though. We never do. We're in this city for a 2-day business conference. Caleb's a guest speaker, one of those people who can command a room without even trying. I'm just along for the ride, a +1 with no real purpose other than to fill the empty space beside him at dinner. I don't mind, not really. It's a chance to get out, to breathe air that isn't tinged with the sameness of our suburban routine. But as I stand here, looking out the floor-to-ceiling window at a skyline that glitters like a promise, I feel this quiet restlessness stirring in my chest. It's not loud, not yet, but it's there, like a whisper I can't quite make out. The hotel itself is a marvel of cold, modern design. Everything is sleek, polished to a mirror finish. The walls in the corridors are lined with reflective glass, so every step I take is shadowed by my own image, distorted just enough to make me feel like a stranger to myself. The lighting is dim, casting long, eerie shadows that stretch and bend as I move. There's a kind of impersonal luxury to it all. Marble floors that echo underfoot, chandeliers that look more like art installations than sources of light, and a faint scent of something expensive, maybe jasmine, lingering in the air. But those mirrors, they get under my skin. Every glance feels like I'm being watched, judged by a version of myself I don't fully recognize. I catch my reflection and wonder who that woman is, with her tired eyes and half-hearted smile. Caleb, though, he's in his element. He thrives in places like this, where deals are made over handshakes and smiles that don't quite reach the eyes. I watch him now, standing in front of the mirror in our room, adjusting his tie with the kind of precision that comes from years of practice. He's charismatic, focused, the kind of man who can make you feel like you're the only person in the room even when his mind is a million miles away. Right now, it's on his meetings, his partners, the speech he's been tweaking for. I step out of the room, the door clicking shut behind me with a soft finality, and make my way down the mirrored corridor toward the elevators. Caleb's already gone, off to his first meeting of the day, leaving me with a few hours to myself. I've got no real plan, just a vague notion of wandering the city streets, maybe finding a quiet cafe to sit and watch the world go by. The thought feels freeing, but there's a nervous edge to it too, like I'm stepping out of a script I've memorized too well. My heels tap against the marble floor, the sound bouncing off the walls, and I can't help but glance at my reflection again. That woman in the glass. She looks like she's searching for something. But I don't know what. I reach the elevator bank and press the down button, watching the little arrow light up with a faint glow. The wait feels longer than it should, each second stretching out as I stand there, alone with my thoughts. Finally, there's a soft ding, and the doors slide open. I step inside, the cool metal interior a stark contrast to the warmth of the hallway. I'm on the 27th floor, so I've got a bit of a descent ahead of me. I press the button for the lobby and lean back against the wall, letting out a small breath I didn't realize I was holding. But just as the doors start to close, they jerk to a stop on the 14th floor. My heart gives a little lurch, not from fear, just surprise. And then he steps in, Trent. I've seen him before, at one of Caleb's networking events, though we've never spoken more than a polite hello. He's one of those men who carries himself like he owns every room he walks into. And right now, in this tiny elevator, that presence feels amplified. He's wearing a tailored suit, charcoal gray, the kind that fits so perfectly it looks like it was made for him. His tie is a deep burgundy, a splash of color that draws the eye, and there's a confident smirk playing at the corners of his mouth as he glances my way. But it's his eyes that hit me hardest. Piercing, almost too sharp, like they're peeling back layers I didn't even know I had. They assess me in an instant, and I feel exposed under that gaze. There's a faint scent of his cologne in the air, something sharp and invasive, cutting through the sterile smell of the elevator. It's not unpleasant, but it's overwhelming in this small space, like it's claiming territory. I manage a polite nod, forcing a small smile as the doors slide shut behind him. Just heading out to explore while Caleb's in meetings, I say, my voice lighter than I feel, like I need to fill the silence before it grows too heavy. Trent tilts his head slightly, that smirk widening just a fraction. Lucky you, getting to play tourist, he replies, his tone casual but laced with something I can't quite place. A hint of suggestion that makes my stomach twist in a way I'm not ready to acknowledge. I shift my weight, trying to focus on the glowing numbers above the door as they tick down, but the air in this elevator feels thicker now, charged with something unspoken. I'm hyper-aware of every inch of space between us, and it's not much. My reflection in the mirrored walls stares back at me, eyes wide, almost accusing, and I quickly look away, only to catch Trent's gaze in the glass instead. He's watching me, not even pretending to hide it, and I feel heat creeping up my neck. Then, without warning, the elevator lurches, a harsh, grinding sound tearing through the silence. It stops abruptly between floors, the display flickering erratically before going dark. The canned music that had been playing softly in the background cuts out, leaving only the uneven rhythm of my own breathing to fill the void. My chest tightens, a wave of panic rising, but there's something else there too, something darker, more primal, that I can't name yet. I glance at Trent, hoping for some kind of reassurance, but he's already moving, stepping forward with a deliberate calm to press the emergency button. His movements are precise, unhurried, as if being trapped in a metal box suspended between floors is just another Tuesday for him. The speaker crackles for a moment, but no voice comes through. No help, just static, and then silence again. We're alone, cut off from the world outside these mirrored walls. Looks like we're stuck for a while, Trent says, his voice low and steady, almost too steady, like he's not fazed at all. He turns to face me, and as he does, his fingers brush against my arm, a fleeting touch meant to comfort, I think, but it lingers just a second too long. A jolt shoots through me, sharp and unexpected, and I pull back instinctively, my back pressing against the cold metal wall. But there's nowhere to go in this confined space. The mirrors surround us, reflecting every angle, every movement, and I'm forced to confront my own flushed face, my parted lips, the way my chest rises and falls too quickly. I can't escape myself, or him, or the way his presence seems to fill every corner of this tiny box. The tension builds like static electricity, crackling in the air between us. Trent steps closer, not aggressively, but with a kind of inevitability that makes my heart pound harder. His hand moves to my neck, a feather-light touch that feels both invasive and electric, sending a shiver down my spine. My mind is a battlefield, two opposing forces tearing at each other. One part of me screams to push him away, to think of Caleb, to remember the vows I made, the life we've built. But the other part, the one I've tried to bury under years of routine and predictability, craves this. Craves being seen, being wanted in a way I haven't felt in so long. I've been invisible lately, fading into the background of Caleb's world, and Trent's gaze, intense and unrelenting, cuts through that invisibility like a blade. It's intoxicating, dangerous, and I hate how much I want it. I don't know who moves first, or if it even matters. But in a moment of weakness, I give in. The world narrows to the heat of his breath against my skin, the press of his body against mine, pinning me to the mirrored wall. The glass is cold at my back, a stark contrast to the warmth of him, and the mirrors multiply everything, every touch, every gasp, every mistake, into a kaleidoscope of guilt and desire. It's surreal, like I'm watching myself from a distance, a stranger caught in a moment I never thought I'd live. The artificial light above us casts harsh shadows across his face, across mine, making everything feel sharper, more real, and yet impossibly detached. Our breathing, mine ragged, his controlled but heavy, is deafening in this confined space, drowning out the faint hum of the stalled elevator. We don't step out onto a floor. We don't escape. The elevator finally shuddered back to life, the grinding noise of the machinery snapping me out of the haze I'd fallen into. My heart was still racing, my skin prickling with the aftershock of what had just happened. I pulled away from Trent, smoothing my dress with shaky hands, avoiding the mirrors that seemed to mock me with every glance. The numbers above the door flickered back on, counting down again as if nothing had changed, as if the world hadn't just tilted on its axis. I couldn't look at him, couldn't face the smug satisfaction I knew I'd see in his eyes. Instead, I stared at the floor, willing the descent to hurry, to get me out of this suffocating box before I drowned in my own regret. When the doors finally slid open on the lobby level, I froze. There, standing just a few feet away, was Caleb. His arms were crossed, his posture rigid, and his face, God, his face, was a mask I couldn't read. His eyes, usually so warm when they looked at me, were sharp now, flicking from me to Trent and back again in a split second. I felt the weight of his gaze like a physical thing, taking in every damning detail. The flush still burning on my cheeks, the way my hair was slightly mussed, the tension that hung in the air like a storm about to break. My stomach dropped, a sickening lurch that made me want to disappear into the polished marble floor. There was no hiding this. No excuse I could conjure up fast enough to erase what he must already know. Trent, unfazed as ever, stepped out first. He gave Caleb a casual nod, the kind of easy acknowledgement you'd offer a colleague in passing, as if the last few minutes hadn't just shattered something fundamental. "Morning," he said, his voice smooth, almost mocking in its nonchalance, before striding off toward the bar area without a backward glance. I stood there, rooted to the spot, my legs trembling beneath me. I clutched my purse like it was the only thing keeping me upright, a flimsy shield against the judgment I knew was coming. Stepping out of the elevator felt like crossing into a different kind of trap. The lobby was too bright, too open after the dim, claustrophobic space I'd just escaped. The mirrored walls that lined the edges of the space caught my reflection again, and I hated what I saw, guilt etched into every line of my face. A woman who looked like she'd just betrayed everything she held dear. Caleb's voice cut through the fog in my mind, steady and cold in a way I'd never heard before. "Now I know who pressed stop." The words landed like a blade, slicing through the fragile defenses I'd been trying to build in my head. Each syllable carried a weight that made my chest ache, a quiet accusation that was somehow worse than any shout or curse could have been. I'd braced myself for anger, for a raised voice, for the kind of explosive reaction I'd seen from him in heated moments over the years. But this calm, this control, it unnerved me more than anything else could have. It was as if he'd already decided something, as if the storm I expected was raging beneath the surface, hidden behind that unreadable expression. My mouth opened, a stammered apology tumbling out before I could stop it. "Caleb, I'm so sorry. I didn't—" But he raised a hand, a single sharp gesture that silenced me instantly. I felt like a child caught in a lie, small and exposed under the weight of his stare. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Trent lingering near the bar, his posture relaxed as he ordered a drink. He was watching us, that faint smirk still playing on his lips, like he was enjoying the drama unfolding before him. It made my skin crawl, the way he seemed to revel in the mess he'd helped create. I felt trapped, caught between two forces I couldn't control. Caleb's quiet intensity, a force I'd always relied on to ground me, now turned against me in a way I didn't understand. And Trent's brazen confidence, a reminder of the weakness I'd given. I stand there, frozen under Caleb's piercing gaze, my heart hammering so hard I'm sure he can hear it. The lobby buzzes around us with the distant clink of coffee cups and the murmur of early morning conversations, but it all feels like static, a meaningless backdrop to the storm brewing right here between us. I'm waiting for the explosion, for the words that will tear through the last 14 years of our life together, but instead, Caleb steps closer. His presence is overwhelming, not in anger, but in something else, something calculated, almost predatory. He leans in, so close that I can feel the warmth of his breath against my ear, and his voice drops to a whisper, low and deliberate. "Next time, it's my turn. You're in the elevator, and I'm there, watching you." A chill races down my spine, sharp and electric, but it's not fear that grips me. It's something darker, a twisted thrill that I don't want to name, let alone admit to myself. His words hang in the air, heavy with implication, and I pull back just enough to search his face. I'm looking for a crack, some sign of rage or even sarcasm, something to tell me this is a cruel joke meant to punish me. But there's nothing like that in his expression. His eyes are steely, resolute, like he's already mapped out every move in a game I didn't even know we were playing. There's a determination there that makes my stomach twist, not in dread, but in a way that leaves me unsteady, grasping for balance. My mind reels as I process what he's saying. He's not ending things. He's not walking away or throwing accusations at me with the venom I expected. No, Caleb is rewriting the rules entirely, turning this moment of betrayal into something else, something I can't yet wrap my head around. His words echo in my thoughts, painting a vivid, almost suffocating picture. I can see it so clearly. Me, back in that mirrored box, the cold glass at my back, the air thick with tension, and Caleb's eyes on me, watching every move, every breath, as someone else, someone not him, steps into that space. The image is horrifying in its clarity, a violation of everything I thought I knew about us, and yet, God help me, it's intoxicating too. There's a pull there, a dark allure that I'm ashamed to feel, a part of me that wonders what it would be like to be seen through his eyes in that moment, to be the center of his focus in such a raw, unfiltered way. I'm still grappling with the weight of it when a low chuckle cuts through the silence, sharp and grating. It's Trent, still lingering near the bar, his presence like a splinter under my skin. I glance over, unable to stop myself, and see him leaning casually against the counter, a glass in hand, his eyes flicking between Caleb and me with thinly veiled amusement. Caleb notices too, and he turns his head just enough to meet Trent's gaze. I brace myself for hostility, for some territorial display, but instead, there's a flicker of something else. Acknowledgement, maybe. Or an unspoken understanding that sends a fresh wave of unease through me. It's as if they're in on something I'm not, as if I'm nothing more than a pawn caught between their silent agreement. My chest tightens at the thought, a mix of anger and helplessness bubbling up. I've never felt so out of control, so far from the woman I thought I was just hours ago. Inside, I'm a mess of conflicting emotions, each one clawing at the other for dominance. The guilt is still there, heavy and suffocating, a constant reminder of the line I crossed in that elevator. But it's tangled now with something new, a strange sense of liberation I didn't expect. I can't deny it to myself, not anymore. I liked what happened up there, the way it made me feel alive in a way I haven't in years. I don't fully regret it, even standing here under the weight of Caleb's gaze, and that realization terrifies me. His reaction, this bizarre proposition, only fuels the storm inside me, stirring up questions I'm not sure I'm ready to answer. I'm sitting at the bar now, a little later, with Caleb beside me. The space between us feels like a chasm, even though our elbows are nearly touching on the polished counter. The silence is heavy, oppressive, broken only by the faint clink of ice in our glasses as we sip our drinks. I ordered a gin and tonic, something sharp to match the edge I'm feeling, and Caleb has a whiskey, neat, his usual when he's deep in thought. The bar is dimly lit, a contrast to the glaring brightness of the lobby, and the hum of other conversations around us feels distant, like we're in a bubble of our own making. I steal a glance at him, trying to read the lines of his face, but he's staring straight ahead, his jaw tight, his expression still unreadable. I wonder if he's replaying his own words in his mind, that chilling promise he whispered to me earlier, or if he's already moved past it, plotting something I can't even begin to guess at. I take a slow sip of my drink, the bitter bite of the tonic grounding me for a moment as I let my thoughts drift back over the day. It feels like a lifetime has passed since I stepped into that elevator this morning, since the world I thought I knew started to crack open. I can still feel the cold press of the mirrored wall against my back, the heat of Trent's touch, the way my heart raced with a mix of fear and exhilaration. I think about the betrayal, the way I let myself fall into that moment, and how Caleb's eyes caught every unspoken truth when those doors opened. His words, "Now I know who pressed stop," still echo in my ears, a quiet condemnation that cuts deeper than any shout. And then there's his proposition, that dark, twisted suggestion that flipped everything I thought I understood about us. It's all a tangled mess in my head, a web of guilt and desire and confusion that I can't seem to unravel. But here's the thing, I'm not sorry. Not entirely. I should be, I know that. I should be drowning in regret, begging for forgiveness, promising it'll never happen again. And part of me does feel that weight, that ache of having hurt someone I love. But there's another part, a quieter, more dangerous part, that doesn't want to take it back. That part of me craves the thrill, the raw, unfiltered intensity of being seen, truly seen, even if it's through a lens of danger and forbidden lines. In that elevator, for those fleeting minutes, I wasn't just Caleb's wife, the +1 fading into the background. I was alive, electric, a version of myself I didn't even know existed. And now, sitting here with the man I've built a life with, I can't shake the feeling that I've woken something up inside me, something I can't just put back to sleep. I swirl the ice in my glass, watching the way it catches the low light, and I wonder what Caleb sees when he looks at me now. Does he see the woman he married, the one who stood by him through late nights and early mornings, through successes and setbacks? Or does he see someone else, someone capable of stepping outside the boundaries we set, someone who might not fit into the neat little box of our marriage anymore? His silence is maddening, a wall I can't climb over, and yet I'm not sure I want to break it. There's a strange comfort in this limbo, in not knowing exactly where we stand. It's like we're teetering on the edge of something new, something terrifying and exhilarating all at once, and I'm not ready to step back from that precipice just yet. I think about Trent, too. though I try not to. He's not here at the bar anymore, but his presence lingers like a shadow I can't shake. I can still see that smirk, the way he watched us with amusement, like he knew something we didn't. I hate how much space he's taking up in my thoughts, how his piercing gaze keeps creeping into my mind, reminding me of the secrets he left behind, unraveling slowly like a mystery I can't help but want to solve. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.